Hello and welcome to the Wishing You Well podcast, where we talk about simple, practical ways to support your health and feel better in your body. I'm your host, Maria Patrick, health coach and wellness educator, and today we're going to talk about something that affects millions of people, myself included, but it often doesn't get discussed enough. And that topic is acid reflux. If you have ever felt that burning sensation in your chest after eating, or a sour taste creeping up into your throat, or that uncomfortable feeling like the food is just sitting there stuck in your stomach or your esophagus, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Acid reflux can be frustrating, uncomfortable, and sometimes even a little scary when it keeps happening. The good news is that in many cases, acid reflux can improve significantly with some simple lifestyle and dietary changes. So today, we're going to talk about what acid reflux actually is, why it happens, common triggers that many people overlook, and some practical, natural strategies that can help you calm your digestive system. So if you struggle with reflux or you know someone who does, this episode is for you. Let's begin with the basics. What acid reflux actually is. Acid reflux happens when the stomach acid flows back up into the esophagus. Your esophagus is the tube that carries food from your mouth to your stomach. At the bottom of the esophagus is a small muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter, or commonly known as LES. Think of it like a one-way valve. When you swallow your food, the valve opens to let the food into the stomach. Then it closes again to keep the stomach contents where they belong, in the stomach. But if that valve becomes weak or relaxed, stomach acid can travel upward. When that acid touches the lining of the esophagus, it creates that burning sensation, which many people refer to as heartburn. This may happen to you occasionally, and if that's the case, it's not usually a big deal. But when it becomes frequent, it may be diagnosed as GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. Many people recognize heartburn, but reflux can show up in several different ways. So it's important for us to recognize the common symptoms of acid reflux, which include burning feeling in the chest, sour or bitter taste in the mouth, bloating after meals, burping, feeling like the food is stuck in your throat, chronic cough, hoarseness, or having a sore throat in the morning. Interestingly, some people with reflux never feel heartburn at all. Instead, they may experience symptoms such as chronic throat clearing, coughing, or sinus issues. Many people assume that reflux means you have too much stomach acid, but in many cases, it's the opposite that may actually be true. Low stomach acid can cause food to sit in the stomach longer, which increases the pressure and pushes the acid upward. Some other common causes are eating large meals, lying down soon after eating, carrying excess weight, being stressed, having poor digestion, or it can be triggered by specific or certain foods and beverages. The digestive system works best when it's relaxed and supported and given enough time to process and digest the food. Unfortunately, our lives work against that. Modern lifestyle requires so many people to eat quickly, they're eating late at night, and they're eating while they're stressed, all of which can contribute to acid reflux. I mentioned earlier that there's some foods that are common triggers, so let's go into that. Certain foods tend to trigger reflux more than others. Everyone is different, of course, in this regard, but some common culprits across the board: fried and greasy foods, spicy foods, chocolate, that makes me sad, I'm sorry to say, coffee, carbonated drinks, alcohol, citrus fruits, another one that makes me sad, tomato products, and peppermint. Now, it doesn't mean you have to eliminate those food triggers forever, but if you've been experiencing frequent reflux, it can be helpful to keep track of what you're eating and the response afterwards, because you're going to want to remove the potential triggers for a few weeks and see how your body responds. Now let's talk about some of the most effective lifestyle changes for reducing reflux. And the good news is that many of these are quite simple. First up, eat smaller meals. Large meals put pressure on the stomach and make reflux more likely to happen. So instead of having 2 or 3 big meals a day, you might want to try smaller meals spaced throughout the day. That's going to give your digestive system a better chance to do its job. Second, this is a hard one for a lot of people. Slow down when eating. Our digestion actually begins in the mouth. So we need to thoroughly chew our food in order to break it down and signal the stomach to produce those digestive enzymes that are needed to break down the food. So try putting your fork down in between bites, chewing more slowly and thoroughly. This one small change, slowing down while eating, can actually make a huge difference. Number 3, try to avoid lying down after eating. Gravity helps keep the stomach acid where it belongs. If you lie down too soon after eating, reflux becomes much more likely to happen. You're going to want to wait at least 2 to 3 hours before lying down or going to bed. One thing to keep in mind is that if whatever you're eating is exhausting you, that's a signal that your body is sending that you're not eating the right foods, because your food should give you energy, not exhaustion. The fourth suggestion, lifestyle change for dealing with acid reflux naturally, is to elevate the head of your bed. If reflux happens at night, and that's common for most people suffering with this, elevating the head of your bed by a few inches can help prevent acid from traveling upward while you sleep. If you're not able to elevate the bed because you share the bed with someone else, then you'll at least want to use pillows to make this happen. Or in an ideal world, you would have a bed where you can move just your portion of the bed. This small change in angle can make a difference. And you may have to, like I have had to do, you may have to play around with the angle for a bunch of nights to see which angle is the best for you. There are some natural strategies that may help you. I have tried each one of these and have found them helpful. The first is ginger. Ginger supports your digestion and it helps the stomach empty more efficiently. So try drinking ginger tea with and immediately following your meals. That can be very soothing. Chamomile tea is another one because it has calming properties that helps not only your digestion, but once again, the nervous system. So a cup of chamomile tea in the evening after your last meal can be especially helpful for people who are dealing with nighttime reflux. This next one surprises a lot of people because you hear the word acid in this recommendation. It's apple cider vinegar. Some of us have low stomach acid, and so if we take a small amount of diluted apple cider vinegar before meals, that can actually support your digestion. However, that solution or the strategy is not appropriate for everyone, especially if your reflux is very severe. One thing you may not realize is that posture plays a role here. When we slouch, that compresses the stomach and can worsen reflux. So we want to make sure we sit upright during our meals, and that's going to help the food move downward more easily. And as I said earlier in this podcast and in many others, even a short walk after eating can support our digestion. You might be wondering when you should seek medical advice. The lifestyle changes help a lot of people, and the strategies, the natural strategies that I suggested, you may also find helpful, but you should be evaluated by a healthcare professional if those solutions do not support you, they do not help you, and if you experience difficulty swallowing, persistent vomiting, unexplained weight loss, severe chest pain, and symptoms that just don't improve. Chronic reflux can end up irritating the esophagus, so it's really important to get checked out by a physician if your symptoms are persistent. One thing I always remind people is that the body is so incredibly intelligent. Symptoms like reflux are often the body's way of saying to us, something isn't quite working here. So many of us suppress our symptoms. It can be helpful to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Ask yourself, how am I eating? How am I managing my stress? How am I supporting my digestion? As we've said together before, sometimes small changes can lead to significant improvements, but we need to change and improve our attention to what our body is telling us. If you have been struggling with acid reflux, I hope today's episode gives you a few ideas to experiment with. Try 1 or 2 changes at a time and take note of how your body responds. Healing digestion is about being supportive to our body, not forcing our body to do something. I want to thank you so very much for tuning in today, for listening to the Wishing You Well podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or found it helpful in any way, please consider sharing it with someone who might benefit. And please also remember to take care of your body, to be kind to yourself, to listen in to the body's signals. We are in this one together. I am regularly working on these strategies myself, and I hope that they will be as helpful to you as they have been to me. As always, I am wishing you well.